Hello everyone. Today's topic is fascia. This topic has been asked mostly as a short note for dental graduate students, but the content of this topic is rarely seen in a basic anatomy book. So I would like to give you an outline so that it would be useful for you during examination. So first we will be seeing about the origin of this word, what are the types and what is the composition, and then we will be seeing definition, what is the difference between superficial and deep fascia, and what is the properties, function, and also we will be seeing about the clinical implications. One by one we will see. So what is the word fascia comes from? It's a Latin word meaning long narrow strip. Definition. So before going to as such definition, I'll just explain you so that it will be easy for you to remember the definition. First, they will be speaking about what network of tissue it is, what type of tissue it is, and then what it is made up of. Okay, and then they will say what does it surround or interpenetrate, and whether it is able to isolate or not. Then now we will go to the definition. It is the viscoelastic functional three-dimensional network of connective tissue. Okay, so first they said what is the tissue, how it is. So it's a three-dimensional network of connective tissue. They also said what it is: viscoelastic functional and three-dimensional network of connective tissue, basically made up of basically of collagen fibers, which surrounds and interpenetrates all the structures of the human body in all directions, and which is difficult to isolate as a whole. Okay, so this is the definition. And then types simply that is superficial and deep fascia. Okay, in detail we will see later. Then coming to the composition, it is made up of extracellular matrix, cells, and ground substances. Okay, so extracellular matrix has fibers: elastin fibers, collagen fibers, reticular fibers. What are the functions? Elasticity, resistance, sliding. Okay, and then cells. Coming to the cells, it is fibroblast, myofibroblasts, adipose cell, and macrophages. Ground substance we all know, mostly it will be proteoglycans and glycosaminoglycans, among which the most contribution is by the hyaluronic acid. Next, this types we saw in detail we'll see now. So superficial fascia is made up of adipose tissue and connective tissue. Adipose tissue and connective tissue. Where it is found, it is immediately underneath the skin. And what does it also contain apart from this? Apart from this, it also contains nerves and blood vessels. Okay. As in the definition, again they are saying it's a three-dimensional network of dense and lax connective tissue which extends from subcutaneous layer till deep fascia. So this is the extent of superficial fascia. Then by extending, what does it do? It forms different walls in different direction. That's what in the definition we saw. What does the definition says? It surrounds and interpenetrates all the structures of the human body in all directions. The same thing they are saying here. It forms different walls in different direction. So this three-dimensional network is called as cutaneous retinaculum. Okay, cutaneous retinaculum. So this superficial fascia defines the body shape and the form. So this is all about superficial fascia. Then coming to deep fascia. Deep fascia is made up of dense regular connective tissue. So the thickness of the connective tissue is based on the mechanical demand. So whenever the mechanical demand is increasing, the thickness also increase. So they are directly proportional. Okay, and it also forms as that of superficial fascia. It forms retinacula and also septa. So forming this, what does it do? It divides the muscle based on their function. So it divides the extender separately and it separates the flexors separately. Sometimes apart from dividing the compartments, it also acts as a continuation between separated region in some region. So it is responsible for subdivision and compartmentalization of different tissue as epi, peri and endo. Okay. So the continuity and the subdivision in the muscle gives 30% power from the muscle is transmitted through the fascia. So if the fascia is unhealthy, this power transmission from the muscle is not possible. The muscle is not responsible for the transmission of muscle contraction. Rather, this fascia is responsible for the power transmission during muscle contraction. Then coming to the properties. Properties: tensegrity, thixotrophy and piezoelectricity. Function: it is compartmentalization, support, fixation, transmission of forces, coordination of movements, then absorption and dissemination of tension, facilitation of circulatory return and maintains the hemodynamics, connection between different systems of the human body, contribute to the diffusion of nutrients and elements, because the facial tissue also has muscle blood vessel. So this blood vessel will be nourishing the surrounding tissue. Okay. Then coming to clinical implication. So most of the pathology like frozen shoulder, plantar fasciitis and neuropathologies and nerve compression, it all depends upon the fascia. So the therapeutics also is focused on repairing the fascia in these conditions. So the techniques of physiotherapy, medical rehabilitation and principle of acupuncture, massage all depends upon the mechanism of fascia. So this is the overall view of fascia, starting from its type, composition, definition, different types of fascia in detail, and properties, function and clinical implication. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, kindly subscribe to the channel for further notification regarding the new uploads for the budding dentist. So it's Dental Shots. I am Dr. Mona Priya. If you like, kindly subscribe for the new videos. Thank you.